Hello everyone. So it is the end of January, just about to head into February. So I thought today would be a good time to go over my garden to-dos for the month of February. And yes, it is still absolutely freezing here. In fact, I think February tends to be one of the coldest months of the year here in Chicago, but just because I'm not outside every day doesn't mean that I don't have some tasks garden related that I need to do. So there's some that involve the plants that I currently have. There's some that involve the plants that are going to be planted in this 2022 garden season, but I thought it'd be nice to go over everything just so that I can tell you what I'm gonna do in case there's something that you need to remember to do this month. And then also let me know down below if there's anything else that you are doing garden related for the month of February. So let's get into it. I have my list right here so I don't forget. So the first thing that I'm going to do is check to see if any of the plants in my garden need water. And I keep pointing that way because just in case you don't know, the garden is directly through those doors onto the deck. So I know I've showed you before me putting the snow in the garden. Typically, as long as there's snowfall during the winter consistently, I don't have to worry about watering my plants, because if it's frozen enough that the snow is still solid, then the plants wouldn't be able to absorb water anyway because the soil would be frozen solid. And then when it's warm enough and the snow starts to melt, that's going to naturally water all of my plants. However, if there is a time period, right now there's snow on the ground, but let's say it melts and then for about 2 to 3 weeks we don't have any sort of moisture, I am going to go out and just check and see if my plants need any water. So if I have to hand water them myself, I definitely will do that, but I have a feeling I haven't had to hand water at all yet this year or over the winter at all. I doubt I'll have to in February, but it is still something that is important to check. The next thing that is related to my plants from last year is to check my dahlia tubers. So this is something that I've been doing consistently since I brought them inside. If you don't know, I had 2 dahlias in my garden last year, 2 different tubers. I'm definitely adding more next year. And I'm trying out 2 different ways of overwintering them. I made a whole video about exactly what I'm doing, so I'll link that below. But basically, 1 tuber I actually removed from the grow bag, and I'm storing it in vermiculite. Some of the benefits of that is I can actually see the tuber over winter to see if there's any issues, and then I can divide it next spring if need be. The other option I'm doing is keeping the tuber in the grow bag that I was in and just hoping that it comes back next year. The benefit of that is obviously it's a lot easier if I can just keep things in the grow bags over winter. So those are the 2 methods I'm doing, but either way, I still need to check on them for moisture. So I need to check and see if they're getting either too much moisture, which I don't think will be a problem just based on kind of the lack of humidity in the garage where I'm storing them. And then plus I just tend to not overwater them too much. I think what I need to be more on the lookout for is underwatering. So like I mentioned, I've been doing this about once every 2 weeks. I just go down and check to see, for the one that's in the vermiculite, I move the vermiculite aside, look at the actual tuber. The first time I did this, it was starting to get a little bit wrinkly on some of them, so I gave it a good drink, and then I've just been checking every couple weeks. For the one that's in the grow bag, I'm just going down and sticking my finger in the soil. If it feels completely dry, about 2 inches deep, then I'm also giving it a good drink of water. I think I've watered the one in the container maybe about once a month when I've been checking it, and then the one that's in the container of vermiculite, so not actually planted in the soil, that I have been spraying with water every 2 weeks that I've been checking it. And so far, so good. So we'll see what the results are that come spring. The next step I need to do is potentially at the end of this month, prune my raspberry bush. So winter's a good time to prune your berry bushes before they start to put out any new growth. It's also a lot easier to see where you need to prune before it starts putting leaves on. So when you're pruning, and I'll do a video specifically when I go out there and actually prune the raspberry bush, but you want to look for anything that is broken. So any broken branches, which I already know I have some of because of the windstorm that we had 2 months ago, last month, I don't know. Time doesn't really mean anything when you're trapped inside during winter, but I do know there are some broken branches out there that I want to prune, and then I'm going to look for just anything else that's kind of growing towards the center so I can open up airflow, or anything else that I just want to trim to kind of maintain its size. So pruning is on my to-do list. Also with some of the outdoor plants, this isn't specifically related to my garden, but down kind of on ground level, there is a tree and a few bushes that I want to make sure aren't covered in snow in a way that could potentially damage them. So I'm just gonna go through and brush off any snow that accumulates on them about once every 2 weeks, or if we do get a major snowfall, just making sure I go outside and knock that snow off. Because last year, and I don't think I have a photo of this, or I took one at the time, but I don't have it saved anywhere, which is unfortunate, although I don't want it to happen again to get a photo. But basically, it's a very narrow, tall pine tree of sorts that had so much snow on it, our neighbor texted us and said, just so you know, the tree in your front yard is bent over in half. So we went outside, and the tree that was normally like this was like this. I thought it was potentially going to break in half, but we were able to take a shovel and a broom and kind of beat the snow off, and the tree did recover. So that was that was the snowstorm. I think we got like 3 feet, but it is going to be something on the top of my mind to just go out this year, and even during the snowstorm, just knock it off so it doesn't accumulate and damage any of the plants that we have down there. Next thing that I'm going to do is make sure that I have everything I need for seed starting. I don't think I have any seeds that I will be starting in February, although there are some if they need longer growing cycles, like peppers, for example, you might want to start those. I don't think any of the seeds I currently have that long of a growth cycle that I would start them. Most of them will start either mid to late March or very early April, but you do want to check your seeds, I would say at the beginning of February, just to make sure you aren't supposed to be starting them this month. But other than the seeds themselves, if you want to order any more, definitely make sure you get your orders in. I feel like a lot of people have already been ordering seeds in the winter, but a lot of people, once it actually starts to get warm outside again, that's when they start thinking about their garden and the seeds they need to order. So get your orders in as soon as possible so that the things that you want are not going to get sold out. But besides just the seeds themselves and checking when you need to start them, also anything that's just related to starting my seeds. So I don't have a very complex seed starting setup. I just there's some seed starting trays that have like little round peat pellets that you add water to, they expand, and I've used those for the last 3 years and I really like them and they're really easy to use. So I know at the beginning of February, I need to run down to Home Depot where I get them and grab at least 4 to 5 of those trays. That way I know that I'm fully prepared with everything I need ahead of time before I go to start my seeds and everything I need is either sold out or I don't have it on hand the day that I need it. So I will definitely be going out and getting the seed starting trays. Other than that though, I don't use any lights. I just use the sun from the window. It would be a nice goal to have a whole seed starting rack with lights someday, but not yet. And then I'm just using regular water. So there's nothing else that I need to get other than the seed starting trays, but I do want to make sure that I have those on hand. And then kind of going along with that, if there's anything that you need to stock up on for the garden season, I would make sure to do that this month as well. I know something specifically that I really like to use is the Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew, and there was a point last season where I ran out of it and it was really hard for me to find both online and in store. So this year I actually have it already saved in my cart. I'm going to get 4 bottles in February because people aren't usually thinking about it right now, but that way I have it stocked up and ready to go for the season. So if there's any products that you can think of that you ran out of last year or that were hard to find, make sure you get them now so that again you just have them on hand when the time comes. Let's see if there's anything else on the list that I have for February. You can start thinking about pruning any trees and shrubs if you have them, but again, I don't think that's something I'm specifically going to do. Something else I might do is try to force some branches, but that might be end of February going into early March. So I think those are kind of my main to-dos that I have for February. It's not a ton, but it is nice to do something for your garden before your garden, actually exists yet for the year. It just starts to get you in that mind frame. I actually really feel like as soon as the holidays are over, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to start working on my garden, even though I can't actually go outside and do anything yet. But let me know if there's anything that I didn't mention that you also do in the month of February in the comments below, and then that way we can all just help each other out, remembering everything that we have to do. So that is everything for today. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.